Okay, think about this. You go to school, you study hard, you get that degree. You do everything you're supposed to do, right? Because you believe it's the only path to a successful life. But what if that whole path was actually a trap? And what if the system was never ever built for your success in the first place, but for something else entirely? Let's get into it. This one sentence, this is pretty much the key to unlocking everything we think we know about modern education. A system that, millions of us have spent a huge chunk of our lives in. It's a pretty wild statement, but it points to a history that's been hidden in plain sight. And that's the big question, isn't it? Who are they? Who were the architects behind a system that touches nearly every single person on this planet? Were they these brilliant educators, forward-thinking philosophers, or was it someone else? Yeah, because this isn't just some old history lesson. Their plan, a plan that was put into motion literally centuries ago, has had a direct impact on your career, your bank account, and maybe even the dreams you have for yourself. So let's peel back the curtain and see what's really going on. All right, first up, let's talk about the story we're all sold about education, and then let's compare it to the cold, hard reality that so many people are living with right now. So on one side, you've got the dream, right? The promise. You put in the work, you get the grades, and you get the keys to the kingdom. Great job, big house, financial freedom. But for millions, the reality is, well, it's something else. It's unemployment, it's crushing debt, and it's being stuck in a job you hate just to make ends meet. It's a total mismatch. And this just hits hard. This is from a graduate who spent 12 years in higher education, racking up multiple postgraduate degrees. And after all of that, he couldn't find a job. The shame was so bad, he said he couldn't even go home and face his family. That tells you everything about the emotional weight of this broken promise. And that's the trap in a nutshell. You play their game, you follow their rules perfectly, but the prize you get at the end isn't freedom. No, it's a cage. A cage built out of loans and bills and the constant fear of losing a job that you don't even like. So how on earth did we get here? To understand why things are so messed up now, we have to go back, way back. Because this system we're in, it wasn't designed for the world we live in today. It was designed for a totally different time with very, very different goals. This is basically the hidden blueprint. It kicked off in Prussia way back in 1806. The goal? Not to create thinkers, but to create obedient soldiers who would follow any order. Then, the Industrial Revolution happened, and factory owners thought, hey, that's a great idea. They needed thousands of workers who would just show up, shut up, and do the same boring task over and over again. And then, it was exported to places like British India in 1835 to create a class of locals who would help run the empire without causing trouble. Do you see the pattern here? It was always about obedience, always about conformity. See, after Napoleon just wiped the floor with them in 1806, the Prussian leaders had a realization. They thought their soldiers were too independent, that they thought for themselves too much. So what was their solution? A brand new, mandatory education system with one main goal: churn out soldiers who would follow orders blindly, no questions asked. And here it is. This is the quiet part said out loud. When the British brought this whole system to India, Lord Macaulay didn't even try to hide the real goal. It wasn't about empowering people. It was about creating a buffer class, people who looked Indian but thought and acted British, people who would make sure the colonial machine kept running smoothly. The system was built to serve the masters, not the students, period. Okay, so that was the past, but here's the kicker. That old system, with its factory settings of obedience and conformity, is basically still the one we're using today, and it is causing a massive, massive crisis. Just let this number sink in for a second. 42%. Almost half of all young graduates in India can't find a job. They have the degree, that piece of paper they worked so hard for, but the world has no place for them. The system churned them out, but it prepared them for a world that just doesn't exist anymore. And this right here really shows you how broken the whole thing is. Even if you do get a job, the value of that degree has plummeted. Just think about this. An average truck driver in the US can make up to 10 times more money than a highly educated engineer in India. I mean, wow. Just let that sink in. And don't think this is just a problem for average schools. Look at these numbers from the IITs. These are supposed to be the best of the best, the most elite engineering schools in India. 36% of students at IIT Bombay couldn't find a placement. 40% at IIT Delhi. Even at the absolute top of the food chain, the system is failing. It's broken from the bottom all the way to the top. So, if this system is a trap, how do you escape? Look, it's not about just dropping out. It's about a fundamental shift in your mindset. It's about taking back control of your own learning and your own future. This is the absolute truth, right here. The world of the 19th century needed obedient factory workers. Our world, the 21st century world, needs the exact opposite. It desperately needs creative people, critical thinkers, problem solvers, all the skills that the old system was literally designed to stamp out of you. So here's a different path. First, you have to explore. Go way beyond the syllabus. Life is so much more than just physics, chemistry, and math. Find out what you actually care about. Second, build real skills, because the degree without skills is just a very expensive piece of paper. Learn to code, learn to market, learn to communicate. You can learn this stuff online from people who are actually doing it every day. And third, you have to define what success means to you. Forget the old script about chasing a safe government job. That safe path might just lead you to an average life you never wanted. Decide for yourself if you want to build something truly great. So in the end, it really all boils down to this one choice. You now know the history. You know why the script was written. And you know it wasn't written for you. So the question is, are you going to keep following their script, or are you going to grab a pen and start writing your own story? The choice is yours.